Hey, it's Corey, and today you're gonna learn how to play Sittin' on the Dock of the Bay by Otis Redding. This is not a difficult song. We're using one strumming pattern throughout, and during one section of the song, there is a split strumming pattern, but I will break it all down for you. But otherwise, let's just hop right into it. So this song does use 7 different chords, but don't let that scare you. They're not very difficult. And what's really fun is I call this an alphabet song because it uses all of the named different chords. So A, B, C, D, E, F, G, and they're all in their major forms, so they're all pretty easy. The only two that might be a little tricky for a beginner player will be the B chord because that requires a partial bar, and then the E major chord because everyone's afraid of the E major, but this also might just be a good song for you to stretch your skills and finally on that E major. First chord you're gonna need is the A major chord. To make that, you're gonna take your first finger, place it on the 3rd string 1st fret, and then your second finger is gonna go on the 4th string 2nd fret. Next up, we have that B major chord. So what you're gonna do here is take your first finger and you're gonna bar it on the 2nd fret on strings 1 and 2. You're gonna take your second finger then and place it on top, and that's gonna give extra support so you can make sure those strings sound correctly. You're gonna make sure your thumb is placed right behind the 2nd fret, so don't use your palm to support it, use your thumb strength. Then you're going to take your 3rd finger, place it on the 3rd string 3rd fret, and your 3rd finger is gonna go on the 4th string 4th fret. And there's your B major. Next, we have the good old faithful C major chord. You're just gonna take your 3rd finger, place it on the 1st string 3rd fret. Next up, we have the D major chord, and this is going to take place all on the 2nd fret here on strings 4, 3, and 2. You're going to take your first finger, place it on the 4th string, then your second finger is going to go on the 3rd string, and your 3rd finger is going to go on the 2nd string. After that, we have the E major. So the version I'm going to be using, which I think is the easiest way to play this, but it does require a little bit of a stretch. You're going to take your first finger, place it on the 2nd fret 1st string, then you're going to go down all the way to the 4th fret, place your 2nd finger on the 4th string, your 3rd finger on the 3rd string, and then your 4th finger on the 2nd string, and there is your E major. After that, we have the F major chord. That's going to be your first finger played on the 1st fret 2nd string, and then you're going to take your 2nd finger and place it on the 2nd fret 4th string. And then finally, the G major chord. A lot of people think is really tricky when you're first starting out, but in comparison to that E major, I bet it's feeling pretty easy now. So you're gonna take your first finger, place it on the 2nd fret 3rd string, your 2nd finger is gonna go on the 2nd fret 1st string, then your 3rd finger is gonna go on the 3rd fret 2nd string. After you're really comfortable with those chords though, let's take a look at the strumming pattern. For this tune, all we're gonna be doing, and I'm just gonna demonstrate this on a G chord, it's gonna be a down, up, chuck, up, chuck. So again, slower, that's down, up, chuck, up, chuck. You could also just do a down, up, down. If you don't know how to chuck, if you are still working on it, check out the video I have in my Ukulele Basics playlist. That will help you learn all the basics, and then after you practice it, you'll be able to. It also helps if you're using your first finger to strum. A lot of times people are still using their thumb because they're starting out and they want to be able to chuck, but it's a lot more difficult to chuck with your thumb than with your first finger strumming. So once you have that, again, you're just doing down, up, chuck, up, chuck. And you're gonna play that through the entire song. There's not any point where we're not doing that strumming pattern. Where it gets a little bit trickier is in the bridge section. We're actually gonna be splitting the strumming pattern up between 2 different chords. That often really tricks people up, but basically all you're doing is switching with one chord on beat 1 and 2, and then switching with the other chord on beats 3 and 4. So the breakdown for this strumming pattern on this song, and you're only doing this over a G and a D chord, it's going to be a down, up, chuck, and then you're going to move to the next chord with the D on up, chuck. So sped up at time, it's down, up, chuck, chuck. One more time, but a little slower. Down, up, chuck, switch, up, chuck. If you're having a hard time being able to do that at time and everything else seems okay, then just switch to playing it on the chord changes. You could easily do D, then G, and then go back to the strumming pattern on this C. That would work. It will break it up a little bit, but it's something that you can do until you're able to bridge that gap and do the down, up, chuck, switching between the two different chords. So as far as form of this song, now that you know your chords and you know the strumming pattern we're using for the whole song, the form is actually very, very simple. We're gonna start the song with just an intro on the G of playing through twice on your strumming patterns. So you're gonna go down, up, chuck, down, up, chuck, and that's the intro. Then you start the song. For the next section, we're just doing the verse. We're playing just on the strumming pattern. From there, we go into a chorus section and then back to the verse and back to the chorus. These are short verses and short choruses, so it can happen a lot faster, but if you can remember to break up the song by its form, it will help you remember. Of course, I always have this all broken up for you on my song sheets if you're interested, which are on my Patreon, and you can find the link for those in the description box. Now, after our second chorus, we're gonna jump right into the bridge, and that's where that switch up happens. So what I'm gonna do to give you a little bit of a practice and a little preview before we get to the play along, I'm gonna start with verse 2, go into chorus 2, and then go into the bridge so you can hear that transition. 1, 2, here we go. I left my home in Georgia, headed for the Frisco Bay, 'cause I've had nothing to live for. It looked like nothing gonna come my way, so I'm gonna sit on the dock of a bay, watching the tide roll away. Oh, I'm sitting on the dock of a bay, wasting time. Look like nothing gonna change, everything still remains the same. I can't do what 10 people tell me to do, so I guess I'll remain the same, yeah. After you get done with that bridge, you're then going to have your third verse and last chorus, and then we go into an outro section where you're whistling. It's a different melody, so just make sure you're aware of that. And you're gonna play 3 bars of a G chord followed by 1 of an E chord. So the actual strumming will sound like this. 1, 2, here we go. That's 1 bar. 2, 3, and to the 4th. Again, 1, 2, 3, E on the 4. But otherwise, those are all the pieces you need to be able to play this song. I think the part that will be probably the trickiest for people, honestly, are all the different chords, because otherwise the rest of it's pretty simple. And then maybe the splitting the strum pattern up between the 2 chords. But if you break them up and give yourself adequate time to practice, I'm sure you'll have it in no time. So with that, let's give it a play along. 1, 2, here we go. Sitting in the morning sun, I'll be sitting when the evening comes, watching the ships roll in, then I'll watch them roll away again. Yeah, I'm sitting on the dock of a bay, watching the tide roll away. Oh, I'm sitting on the dock of the bay, wasting time. Oh, I left my home in Georgia, headed for the Frisco Bay, 'cause I've had nothing to live for. It looks like nothing's gonna come my way, so I'm gonna sit on the dock of the bay, watching the tide roll away. Oh, I'm sitting on the dock of the bay, wasting time. Oh, look like nothing watching the tide roll away. I'm sitting on the dock of the bay, wasting time. Oh. If you're wanting kind of more of a definitive place to end with that outro, you could always, after the E major there, just end on a single down strum, and that would be completely fine too. I hope you enjoyed this tutorial. It's a really fun song. It's kind of perfect for summer. If you have other tunes that you'd love to see made into a play-along or a tutorial, make sure to comment down them below and like this video. Whenever I see people commenting on the same song over and over again, it gives me a better indication that they'd like to see a tutorial or play-along for it. But otherwise, I hope you have a great day, and I'll see you next time. Bye! Wasting time.